Okay, good morning. This is Nicole Whitlock with the eCom, a daily ecom planning session. And this is our first session of the new year. I'm so glad that you're here. So, again, my name is Nicole Whitlock, and my passion is helping people on their e commerce journey, helping them to get organized, get focused, get consistent in their business. If that's you, I'm here for you. You'll be given the opportunity to schedule a free 20-minute coaching session if you want it. So, we are going to get into it today. We are live on Clubhouse. We're also live in the e-commerce planning Facebook group. And we're talking about planning for our success in 2023, planning for our success in first quarter, and just putting together all the stuff that we previously did in our annual planning session and extracting that information. So, if you didn't get a chance to participate in the annual planning session, I do invite you to go check that out. It will help you to put together a game plan and a strategy for 2023 so that you make a little more progress and you gain a little more momentum in your business. If one of the things you want to do is to be a little more consistent, then pulling together that 2023 game plan is going to help you with that. So, if you want to grab the replay, you can go to swiy.co/2023 replay. Again, swiy.co/2023 replay. Grab the replay, take advantage of the information that's in there. It will help you to reset your mindset for 2023, refocus your energy on yourself and on your business, and then work on strategies to re energize your business so that you can gain or regain momentum in your business. So, again, as I said before, we're live on Clubhouse, we're live in the e-commerce planning Facebook group. And we typically do the monthly ecom planning sessions the last Sunday of every month. The last Sunday of every month. So the last Sunday of the month would have been, I believe, Sunday of Christmas. And so since the first Sunday of this month was New Year's, it's like, okay. So we didn't do it. And so I wanted to make sure that we got started and put together a game plan for our success. If you don't have a notebook and pen, I encourage you to go grab one so that we can get into putting together our game plan, not only for the month of January, but also for the first quarter. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to break this down into a couple of different pieces. The first part of it is the month end analysis or review. So we're going to go through and do the month end analysis and review. Then we're going to be talking about planning for the new month, some of the things we need to think about before we begin planning for the new month. And the last part of that is going to be actually putting together our plan for the new month. So we're going to start off with, again, doing a month end analysis. And when I say month end analysis, we're actually doing a month end and we're doing a quarter end analysis. So I'm hoping that your fourth quarter was good. I'm hoping that you made a lot of progress in your business this fourth quarter, and that your stats are what you wanted them to be. If you didn't have a game plan for fourth quarter, you can use this to help you to put together a game plan. So then that way, when you do the month end review and the quarter end review, and then you know what the data looks like. The first part of this is, again, the month end review. And in the month end review, we're going to pull out what our goals were for the month and the quarter. So the month of December is the last month of quarter four. What were your top goals for the month of December? What were your income producing goals for the month of December? What were any of your administrative or VA or operational goals for the month of December? Your marketing and ads or traffic related goals for the month of December? When you look at your weekly priorities every single week in the month of December, you had priorities defined. What were your top priorities for each one of the weeks in the month of December? The objective is that your priorities, your daily activity, contribute to the success or the progress of your weekly priorities. Your weekly priorities contribute to the success or progress of your monthly goals. So, knowing what your weekly priorities were for each one of the weeks, and those should be contributing to progress or success on your monthly goals. Hopefully, you established some pretty good priorities. The next is to look at your weekly habits. What were the 30-day habits that you were working to be consistent about and to track? If you don't have those defined, I would encourage you to go define those. I mean, sorry, you're going to define those for January. But if you don't have those defined, then that's as we get ready to plan for January. Then your daily goals. If you have the My Ecom Planner, the ultimate e-commerce planner, you can go to myecomplanner.com to grab it. But inside of the e-commerce planner, you get to track your progress towards your daily goals. Because again, your daily goals contribute to your weekly contribute to your monthly. So how much progress did you make on your daily goals? There are going to be some days where your daily goals, you did not hit the mark at all. December is a double-edged sword at times because it is a month filled with activity and um, uh, activity in your e-commerce business and a lot of activity in your personal life. In our life, like we spend December going to go look at holiday lights and driving around and looking at the lights and going to different places where they're hosting a tree lighting and things like that. So, those are what you would consider non-productive activities when it comes to your e-commerce business, but they are a big deal to your family and friends. So, looking at your daily goals, there were probably some days that you didn't make as much progress as you wanted. It's also time filled with family and friends, cooking or going to people's houses to eat and to socialize, and also again working and managing your business. So some of your December goals, maybe you met them, some of them you didn't. Hopefully you did make a little bit of progress in your e-commerce business, but what were your goals? What were your daily stats? Our daily stats are tracked inside of the e-commerce planner. So in the e-commerce planner, we're tracking the number of listings we created or that we reworked, the shipments that we fulfilled, our sales, our profit, our mileage. Like, we're tracking a bunch of stuff on a daily basis inside of the e-commerce planner. So if you flip through your e-commerce planner, hopefully you don't have a lot of blank spots. But again, if you don't have that, you can go to myecomplanner.com, or you can jot down some stats that you want to start tracking for yourself in 2023. All right. So after we kind of compile all of that information, did we make progress towards our monthly goals and things like that? We're also going to look at what we established or defined for the quarter. So our monthly goals contribute to our quarterly goals. What were the goals or the objectives that you established for the entire quarter, fourth quarter? How many listings were you trying to create? What were your sales that you were targeting? What was your profit margin? Did you meet those stats for the quarter? If you didn't meet those stats for the quarter, that's fine. We're just making a note of where we stand for the quarter, for fourth quarter. What were our numbers? What was the data? Knowing what your numbers are and what progress you did make is going to help you to build better goals. One, for actually the first, second, and third quarter, because the work that you do in the first, second, and third quarter hopefully will build the momentum to impact your fourth quarter of 2023. So knowing what your numbers are will help you establish really good goals for fourth quarter of 2023 and maybe for the year as well. So go through and document those things. And where we document those things is we document them in lessons learned, and we also document them in our wins and accomplishments. So if you made the progress, if you hit the majority of your top goals for the month and you also hit your top goals for the quarter, fantastic. If you hit your goals for the month, but you were off for the quarter, then you make a note of that. You put that information inside of lessons learned. If you hit your numbers again for the month for your income producing goals, but again, you were off for the quarter. Again, we're going to document that in our lessons learned. We're going to celebrate all of our wins and all of our accomplishments, but we're also going to make a note of where we didn't hit our targets. So you should know what your targets are. And this is something that as you begin to kind of do the analysis for fourth quarter and also for the month of December, you're going to be doing this same thing for January and also for first quarter. So learning from, documenting these things and then being able to go back and take a look at them is going to help you to make or establish better goals and stronger goals for January and also for first quarter of 2023. All right. So we're going to summarize all of that information on what we did learn, our lessons learned, and progress we did or did not make. We're going to put that in the looking forward section because we need that information to potentially establish our goals for January and also first quarter. Okay. The next thing is that we're going to review our notes if we took notes in December and also for the quarter. Inside of the e-commerce planner, if you have it, we have a couple of different places where we document different things. We have a section for brainstorming notes. We have a section for sourcing notes. There's also a section for your personal notes, your calendar notes. And if there's any notes that maybe you found some really great inventory from a specific supplier, so you want to make a note of that. Maybe you had an item that sold out faster than you thought it would. You want to make a note of those types of things. Maybe you discovered a niche and you only bought a couple of products just to test drive that niche or test drive that product. And so we want to make a note of those things. So wherever you've written notes inside your e-commerce planner or inside your own notebooks, we're going to pull all that information together. One of the things, if you don't have an e-commerce planner, is just grab a spiral notebook right now and or earlier. I asked you to do that, but create a section that's just called looking forward, so that you're going to use the information that you compile from these notes to make decisions in January and then also in first quarter. So we're going to document that information in our looking forward section, so that as we look forward in the first quarter and also January, we can use that information to maybe make different decisions. The next step in this process is to go through and do your month-end administrative tasks. That's closing out the month, okay? And you should be in a position, hopefully, to be able to close out the month since we're officially in January. And in that, going through and doing your month-end tasks, we're talking about running your month-end reports on different platforms. Now, some platforms are time sensitive and others not so much, but there's going to be some reports that you should run. And if you didn't run them already, you should run them now if you have the ability to run them. You want to begin the process of preparing for your tax filing or send your information to your accountant. That is going to be helpful in being able to, get ready to file your taxes, because you're going to do taxes here in a little bit. You're going to go through and complete your inventory audit, or if you have not done an audit, you need to know where you stand as far as your inventory is concerned. Now, I do understand that there's going to be some inventory that probably is going to come back to you because we have returns, and the return period is extended. So you're going to have to deal with that. But that's going to impact if you have to issue a refund. That money, you're in January already. So that money's going back into your account or going out of your account, in January. It's not going to be going out of your account in December. So your numbers in December are your numbers in December for right now, depending on, again, how you do your own accounting. But anything that's happening now or that is going to impact now is going to be happening in January. So you're going to go through and review any products that you have expiration dates on. Make sure that you have gone through and, have a plan to pull those out. You're going to go through and do your account reconciliation with your accounts that you the accounts that you sell on. Like if you sell on Amazon or eBay or whatever, go reconcile the information that you have in your accounts. Maybe there's some money that they owe you back. Maybe there was some additional fees that they charged you, all that kind of stuff. You got to do all your account reconciliation, your bank reconciliation. So going through and reconciling the in and outs in your bank and the expenses that you had, your expense reconciliation. So you're going to go through and do all of that reconciliation activities for December. You're also going to complete and reconcile your budget. So again, hopefully every month you're establishing a new budget and you're going to reconcile your budget. So make sure you do that. Anything that's important to note, anything that was significant, or anything that matters, then you want to make a note of that in the looking forward section. Maybe you signed up for a new subscription and you want to remember, hey, this is $1,000 subscription that I got to pay every year, or maybe it's $1,000 subscription I got to pay every month. Like, you want to make sure you make a note of anything that's going to be impactful in 2023. All of the things that have to do with money, all the things that have to do with products that's going to impact you. And maybe you've got some products that, hey, they're not going to expire until, or the window in which to pull them back, if you've sent them into any fulfillment center, the window in which to pull them back, which more than likely you're not pulling them back if it's food, but is maybe January the 15th. So you just got to make a note of that in the looking forward section. You're not pulling it back now. You're not, it's not going to come out now, but something you'll have to deal with later. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go look at our previous year's stats. And we're going to see how we did for fourth quarter 2021 compared to fourth quarter 2022. We're going to go through and look at that data because we've closed out the entire quarter. So fourth quarter 2022 compared to fourth quarter 2021. Are your numbers better? Are they worse? Are they the same? Was there anything significant that you noticed in fourth quarter? Maybe your October, the 2 years, was the same, but November you took a big hit and your November is off, or maybe your November was bananas and you got more sales than you anticipated, and then your December fell off. Or maybe you stayed steady. Maybe you only increased by 2%, maybe you increased by 10%, maybe you dropped, but you need to know what your stats are for the previous year so you can compare them to how you did in 2022 for fourth quarter. So go and look at your stats and pay attention to that information around your stats, and then look at your Decembers, comparing your December to December. How did you do for the month of December when you look at your stats and the data from 2021? Again, you probably had some income producing goals stats. So comparing those income producing goal stats from 2021 to 2022, let's just say hypothetically it was around listings. So your goal for 2022 is maybe to create, for December, maybe create 2,000 listings. And in 2021, your goal was to create 1,000 listings. Well, maybe in 2021, you only got 800 created. And in 2022, you got 1,000 created. Like, what were those stats that you established and the goals that you established? And then what were your actual numbers? Maybe you were planning on working more hours in 2022 in December, but it didn't work out because you got sick. So let's go through and let's look at those stats and look at those numbers and see where we stand when it comes to how we did in comparing our numbers from 2021 to 2022. Look at your reports. Look at the data. If you're selling the same product year over year, what were your stats from 2021 to 2022 for that same product? Because there are going to be products, if you're paying attention to the data, that you sell over and over again every single year, meaning there's certain times of the year that you're going to sell that product again. So if it's a hot product that you sell every single December, how did it go? And also, if it's a hot product that you sell every fourth quarter, again, how did it go? So let's go through and let's pull out all that information and let's compare. And we're going to make a note of anything significant or important in our looking forward section of the notes that we've been compiling. All right. Now we're going to move into the next phase, which is beginning the process of planning for the next month and also the next quarter. So this piece is important in our looking forward, or sorry, comparing our previous stats. We are going to look at we're also going to look at our previous stats for first quarter of 2022 so that we can establish what we want our stats or things that we want to track or pay attention to first quarter of 2023. So when we're back in our, doing our month end, year end review, let's go ahead and grab first quarter information and January information, January, February, March. Let's get that information so that we have that handy for 2022 so we can establish what our goals are going to be for 2023. All right, now we can move into planning for the new month. So the first part of planning for the new month and the new quarter is to look at what are the daily holidays, monthly holidays, international holidays, major events, major activities that are coming up in January. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and look at the whole quarter. So January, February, March. What's coming up? What's a major thing that we want to pay attention to? Let's go look at that information. Let's go extract it. You can pull that out of the my eCom planner, but let's go extract that information. What is it that is coming up? Well, okay, we already hit New Year, so that's a given. We have Martin Luther King holiday coming up, and we're looking at the big ones versus the little ones. There's a bunch of little ones, trust me. The month of February alone, there's like some really cool holidays and dates that are coming up. So let's take a look at that. And sometimes you'll do a Google search to find some of these things. If you have a My Ecom Planner, you just flip through the back part of that book, and you'll have those holidays sitting right there for you. As we make a note of the daily holidays, monthly holidays, international holidays, major events, like we know the Super Bowl is coming up, which is a big deal in the U.S. Soccer is much bigger, or football is much bigger globally, but it's not the same U.S. version of the NFL football. So what are the major events that are coming up in the first quarter that you want to make a note of? And also major holidays, major whatever. What's, the monthly holidays that are coming up around the corner. So write those down, because those are going to potentially be sourcing opportunities. Those are going to be product niche research opportunities. Those may be bundle opportunities. They may become opportunities to source and sell products, because these events or holidays that are coming up are going to automatically, naturally get a bunch of traffic. There's going to be a lot of searches for it. Like Valentine's Day. People are going to be they're already doing Google searches for Valentine's Day. Okay. Valentine's Day gifts for her, Valentine's Day gifts for him. They're already doing that. So that's what's going to happen anyway. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to those types of activities. All right, hold on. One of my VAs just come online, and I do not want her to interrupt this this session, because this tool is sometimes finicky. Okay, just a second. All right, so then the next thing is, as you go through and look at that planning for the next month, again, we're just writing down some ideas and putting that in the looking forward section. The next is advanced planning. This is where we've taken that information I suggested before, like let's go get our stats for first quarter of 2022 so we can establish some goals for first quarter 2023. Our goal is always to get better. So we want to make sure that we're getting those documented. So go get those stats. Grab that information so that you're ready to rock and roll for first quarter of 2022. And while we're at it, we're going to actually look at the next couple of months. So I've already said that we're going to do first quarter. So we're going to do January, February, March. And if you want to grab April, go ahead and grab April. I am one of those people that my objective is to always plan anywhere from 4 to 16 weeks, if not 20 weeks in advance. Because again, when people are buying for Valentine's Day, they're not buying for Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day, unless they're going into brick and mortar to physically go buy whatever it is they're going to buy. If they're ordering online, they're ordering it in advance, of course, and they want to order it far enough in advance so that it arrives in time. So our goal and our objective is to always make sure our listings already exist. That is why we go through and we think about the entire first quarter, but we also maybe think about April while we're at it. That gives you enough time to be able to hit your targets, hit your goals when it comes to, you know, putting together a list of potential products to sell, products to source, bundles to create, bundles to do research on, products to do research on. Gives you enough time to do that. Then step 7 in this lovely process is to determine your stats for the new month, your stat goals. And when I say that, again, you can look at your data for first quarter of 2022. Maybe you have some stat goals around the number of listings you want to create, the number of new products you want to source, or inventory that you already know sells. So you're going to, factor that in. Every January, I sell XYZ. Every February, I sell XYZ. Every March, I sell XYZ. These are products that hopefully I ordered in December or I order now, and depending on where they're coming from. Like if they're coming from China, you probably want to order them now and not wait. So putting together what your stats are. What are your listing goals? What are your sales goals? What are your hours worked goals? If being consistent throughout the year about how many hours you work in your business or how many hours you don't work in your business or how consistent you are or are not is a big deal, then definitely you want to go ahead and make sure that that is a priority, and writing down what those goals are that you want to hit for 2023. So let's write down what our goals are for the month of January. And then let's also define some goals for the quarter, first quarter goals. If you want to break that down into what your tentative goals are for February and your tentative goals for March, because you're always going to rework those anyway. You're going to rework February and you're going to rework March. But again, putting together some estimates, some targets, if you just want to take your number and divide it by 3, that'll tell you what your monthly targets that you're working to hit will be. So write down those stats, those goals. Think about like I said before, the income producing, and I'm going to scroll up just for a second because I never remember all of them that I've written down. So you've got your top goals for the month and your top goals for the quarter. What are your top 5 goals for the month of January? And what are your top 5 goals for the quarter, first quarter? What are your income producing goals for the month of January? And what are going to be your income producing goals for first quarter? Again, top 5, just write down top 5, your top 5 income producing goals. What are your administrative operations or VA related goals that you want to establish for first quarter? And what are they going to be for the month of January? Some of them might be like maybe in January, one of the things that you wrote down in your annual planning session is that you want to get a VA. You want to have a VA by the end of first quarter. So one of your top goals might be that you start writing out your standard operating procedures in January and you have them documented. A way to break that down is you might maybe target 2 SOPs a week. And if you target 2 SOP standard operating procedure documents, okay? So if you write out 2 SOPs a week in January, that means by the end of January, you have 8 SOPs documented. And you can start with the VA with that. So writing out your SOPs, your standard operating procedures, will make it a lot easier as you begin the process of hiring a VA and getting going. Another thing might be is, siphoning off some money from each one of your months in the first quarter. So maybe you're going to for a VA, if we're using that example. So maybe one of your objectives is to set aside an extra $300 in January, an extra $300 in February, an extra $300 in March, so that you can pay for a VA. Whatever it looks like. I don't know what your annual goals were, but if you didn't go and establish your annual goals first, I would encourage you to go do that, so that that way you can reverse engineer what is the activity I have to engage in order to hit these annual goals. So go do your annual planning so you can reverse engineer and establish whatever those goals are going to be. But I just gave you the example of a VA and how you can divide that up, divide and conquer, and hit those goals. What are your marketing or ads or traffic goals for the month of January? Maybe one of the things that you wrote in your annual planning session was that you really wanted to get better at Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, maybe TikTok ads, whatever it happens to be. So, breaking that down by the quarter, maybe you spend January 1 hour per week. That's 4 hours total for the month, or maybe 2 hours per week, depending on how much you work in your business. And that's 8 hours total for the month. Maybe you spend the month of January focusing 100% on Facebook and Instagram ads and just spending 1 hour of dedicated time or 2 hours of dedicated time per week, just learning and then applying in the upcoming week. Every single week, learn it on Sunday, apply it Monday through Saturday. Okay. Learn it on Sunday, apply it Monday through Saturday. So then that way you're learning and you're immediately applying. Sometimes we learn things and then we don't do anything with it, and then that causes us to have to revisit it. And so if you're learning it on a set day and then applying it the following days, you're immediately going to retain that information much faster. Two, you'll be able to better understand conceptually what is happening with whatever it is that you're learning, because you're immediately applying it. And so it's sticking in the brain a little bit longer. And three, you'll be able to see a little bit of results, and it helps you with momentum. So all of that matters. All that's extremely important. So what were your goals? I don't know what your goals are, your annual goals, but you probably want to pull those out and then use that to help you figure out what your goals are going to be for the month and what your goals are going to be for the quarter when it comes to marketing, ads, and traffic. Okay. And so all of those matter, and we're going to establish our goals for the month and for the quarter. We're going to extract the information from our looking forward section in our lessons learned section to make some decisions on what the priorities are going to be for January. So pull out all of that looking forward documentation that you have been compiling, and we're going to make some decisions around what what our priorities are going to be for the month of January, and what our priorities are going to be for the quarter. Again, use your annual planning session to figure out what the priorities are going to be for the quarter, and then break that down into bite-sized pieces for each one of the months, meaning you're going to tackle a little bit at a time for each one of the months. All right. So that is step 8 of this process. And then step 9 of the process is to build a tentative budget for the new month. And maybe you go ahead and establish a budget for the quarter. So if you've got subscriptions, that's part of that budgeting. If you're ordering supplies, that's part of that budgeting. If you're paying for a service, that's part of that budgeting. Your fee for your Amazon account. Again, all of this is part of your budgeting. So you need to establish a budget. How much money are you going to be spending on inventory? How much money are you going to be spending on research? How much money are you going to be spending on VAs? Like all of that. Establish a budget. Okay. All right. Now that we have gone through and we've now actually executed steps 1 through 9 in just having this conversation. Now, the remaining steps that we have to execute in this monthly planning and this quarterly planning is all step 10. Step 10 is putting it all together and documenting your decisions and the work that you're targeting to do and complete in first quarter, and that you're targeting to do and complete in January. So now that we've kind of pulled together what we think we want to do for the month, we're going to document everything that we are going to actually do for the month. The first part of this putting together a monthly plan is I want to encourage you to go pull out your calendar, your personal online. These are your online calendars. So this is your online calendar for work, your online calendar for personal stuff, and any other online calendars that you might have. So inside of my Google Calendar, I create a secondary calendar called Business Productivity, and I put a lot of stuff on business productivity. I will put coaching sessions there. I'll put a bunch of stuff on there. Pull out that calendar because you need to know what's coming up. If you had an appointment with a life insurance guy, because I will tell you, this is the time of year in which people actually buy a lot of life insurance. It's the beginning of the year. They kind of go through and do a life reassessment. So that's a common thing to happen. So maybe that's what you were planning on doing is, you have an appointment with a life insurance person on January the 17th. Okay, we're going to put that into our e-commerce planner because that's an activity that's going to impact some of our time. Now, our time is not 100%. I'm just going to back up for just a second. If you don't participate in the daily planning sessions or the weekly, I invite you to come join us. We're going to be doing those at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, so come in and hang out with us. We're going to be live on Clubhouse and live on the e-commerce planning Facebook group. But during those sessions, we kind of put together our game plan of activities that we're going to be engaging in for the day, and also those activities that we're going to be engaging in for the week. And as we look at that, I'm always talking about putting together a game plan that is not 100% focused on your business, but focused on your life. God gives us 24 hours in the day. Every single day, if you're still alive, if you woke up this morning, you had 24 hours yesterday. So the question becomes, what are you doing with your 24 hours? Some of that time you're going to be spending sleeping, anywhere from 6 to 9 hours. You're going to be, hopefully 6 to 9 at least, you're going to be sleeping. And the rest of that time is an opportunity to do other stuff. Maybe you're committed already and then you have a block of time that's committed to working your job. Maybe you work a 9 to 5 or whatever your shift is. And so that is time you can't move. That's inflexible time. It's committed time. So you can't put anything in there unless it's an emergency. Like if your kids get sick or, your mother falls or something like that, you're going to interrupt that time and go deal with personal emergencies. But for the most part, that's committed time. So that's a chunk of your 24 hours. Sleeping is a chunk of your 24 hours. And then you have other pockets of time throughout the day for other stuff, time that you spend with your family and your kids and so on and so forth. So what are you doing with your 24 hours in the day is the one thing that I talk about. And I encourage you to, put together a schedule so that way you will be able to commit to a specific set amount of time to work in your e-commerce business. If you are committed to that block of time, so maybe it's 2 hours, maybe it's 4 hours every single day, maybe it's 6 hours every day. Maybe it's broken up. Maybe you spend an hour in the morning before you go to work and 2 hours in the evening when you come home. Like, I don't know what your schedule looks like, but I encourage you to build a schedule that is inclusive of your life. That's really the big part of this. And inclusive of the 24 hours in the day. So when it comes to like appointments that are scheduled out in the future, like maybe you have a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment, or you've got to, get, I don't know, you have a scheduled oil change with the dealership because it's part of your, you bought a new car. And so it's part of the services that they give you and you got to do it when they say do it. So these are things that are going to take up that time. And they're somewhere on your calendar. They're either on your personal online calendar. Maybe you made a note on your work calendar that you weren't going to be available for this time period, but they're on your calendar somewhere out there in the universe. What we want to do is we want to take those life activities, those life events, and put them into your e-commerce planner. Because your e-commerce planner is not just a planner for just e-commerce related activities. It's about your life. It's about working on creating a balance between all aspects of your life, your mommy life, your daddy life, your work life, your sports or activity or entertainment or friends life, or your relationship life, your, responsibilities, household related life, your spiritual life, like maybe you're a deacon in something, like whatever that is, you're balancing all these different hats that you wear throughout the day. So from time to time, I'll take off my mommy hat and put on my coaching hat. And then I take off my coaching hat and go put on my nonprofit hat. And then I take off my nonprofit hat and I go put on my. So it's all about balancing all of those aspects of your life. The e-commerce planner is designed to be able to house everything that's happening in your life so you can see it all at one place. So I encourage you, whatever you have going on from your personal work and online calendars, go put that in the e-commerce planner, put it on the first two lines for the month of January, first two lines, so that way all those personal things can be on the first two lines. The next thing is add any major or important upcoming activities that are, major personal activities. Maybe you have a girlfriend or a friend that's coming in from, girlfriend for me, but like I have friends that live in different parts of the United States. So I might have my friend that's coming in from Maryland or so and so is coming from. So if you have major activities that are coming up, friends that are coming in from out of town, family that's coming to visit you, maybe you're part of a major parade that's coming up, maybe you're part of the Martin Luther King parade. These are going to take blocks of your time as well. So you want to make a note of these things. Maybe your kids are in a basketball tournament. And I know sports is sometimes it's all over the place, depending on what sport it is. Because you have a schedule and then you have we've been moved to, instead of playing on Friday, we're going to be playing on Saturday. Like, oh, okay. So you have to have some level of flexibility. Same thing. My son has track. And so I know track is going to be impacting my schedule and impacting potentially my productivity. And because I know that there are moments of randomness, not always, but there are moments, I have to prepare for that in the months that are coming up. Maybe there's a women's conference or a men's conference at your church that's coming up. And so that's a block of time that you're not going to be available. You're not going to be working in your business, and you're not going to be doing some of the other stuff that you normally do. Maybe there's other stuff, like your family is going away for a quick vacation, or maybe you're going to do something like we are. Like we're going to be working out, cleaning out my storage unit. So that's a block of time. Maybe you're going to see a personal trainer and you're committing to a personal workout. Maybe you join something like, what is it? CG, Camp Gladiator. Maybe you've joined that. And so that's a block of time, maybe every single morning, that you're committing to in the month of January, February, and March, that you're going to commit to going to your Camp Gladiator, workout, whatever that looks like. So put those important major activities, put that in my ecom planner on the month of January, the things that are going to impact the month of January, or where there is reserved, committed, dedicated time that you are not willing to, you're inflexible when it comes to these things. Unless there's a major emergency, you're inflexible about it. You're not moving anything into that window, and you're not making any adjustments. Like, I got to be at my son's track meet. I got to be at blah, blah, blah. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out all of our looking forward information for the month and also for the quarter, and all of the information that we wrote down before, lessons that we learned in fourth quarter and things that we made a note of in fourth quarter that we know that's either going to impact first quarter or that's going to impact the month of January. We're going to pull all that stuff out. And we're going to take the pieces that matter for the month of January, and we're going to make a note of those things inside of our ecom planner. Okay. So all of the things that matter when it comes to, whatever, all the things we went through a lot of stuff, things that matter. Maybe you were off on your budget, so you're making adjustments for 2023 when it comes to your budget. So things that you want to make a note of, we're going to go write those in our ecom planner. We're going to write down some of the big ones that I want to make a note of is, when do you want to start creating your Valentine's Day listings? You probably want to start creating them now, first week in January. Why not? Create your Valentine's Day listings, make the listings live. Unless you don't have the inventory, go do that. Maybe one of the things is that the first week in January, you want to create Valentine's Day bundles. Again, Go ahead and create the bundles. So you're going to put that on your activities in your My Ecom Planner. You're going to put that on lines 3 through 5. So the first week, maybe you write down, since it's Tuesday, so we'll say Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday is maybe sourcing Valentine's Day bundles. Thursday is maybe creating and taking pictures of the Valentine's Day bundles. And Friday, maybe creating the listings. If you're going to go physically do it versus buying them from a wholesale supplier. Maybe you're going to go write down for the second week in January that you want to go to XYZ liquidation. Maybe you live in an area where there's a bunch of liquidating locations. And so you can go and actually buy a pallet and bring it home. So my point is, write down the activities that you identified in your steps 1 through 8 of this exercise. What are the things that you're going to focus on in the month of January? What are going to be your top priorities for the month of January? What are going to be the things that you're going to focus on every week in January? So week 1, what are your top 5 priorities? Week 2, week 3, week 4, what are those top priorities for January? And also, what are your top priorities for the quarter? What are the things that really are going to matter or move the needle? One of the things that I work to do is that I normally try to source for second quarter and first quarter. So in January, I write down one of the weekly priorities is, maybe it's in week 2, is I source for inventory for second quarter. And I put that in maybe the second week or the third week of January, so that does not become something I have to think about. I also source for the season that's coming up in the first week in January. So I'm sourcing for the spring in the first week in January. So I can create those listings. Second week in January, I can go ahead and start creating spring listings. So I'm using, as I do this whole planning around quarters, I will put those types of things in my first quarter planning and also in my month of January. So I can guarantee you, every January, April, July, and October, I'm thinking about the next quarter. I'm sourcing for the next quarter. I'm ordering inventory. I'm coming up with bundle ideas. I'm coming up with print on demand ideas, always a quarter ahead. If you want to do 2 quarters, you can do that. It's just easier for me that way to do it in that first week or that second week of the new quarter. So that way, that's work that's already done, and then I can use the rest of the month and the rest of the quarter to do the other stuff. So what's your strategy? The other thing is, I use my weekly planning template. I've mentioned many times before in the planning sessions, in the weekly planning sessions, that I have multiple templates. I have template. When I say weekly planning templates, like, the template is sort of a guide for what are the activities I'm going to engage in each week. And so I have a template for when my son is in a weekly planning template. When he's in track, I have a weekly planning template when we're in fourth quarter, because that's a different schedule. So I kind of shift to a new schedule outline. And that's all a template is sort of a schedule outline of when I'm going to do what. So when am I sourcing? When am I doing product research? When am I creating listings? When am I shipping inventory to, any fulfillment centers? When am I doing these things? And so that's what's happening in that planning session, those weekly planning sessions, that weekly planning template. I have 4 of them. I'm probably going to create a 5th one. But again, it's the schedule for what does my work look like when my kids are in school, that's regular school season, and then when my kids are out of school, like spring break, Christmas holiday break, and also the summer. My work schedule is modified, because now you got kids in the house that you got to either keep from killing each other, getting into stuff, whatever. So you have to. My ability to focus when nobody's at home is completely different than my ability to focus when everybody is home. So pulling out your weekly planning template so that you can fill in for the month of January. Again, all those activities that you're planning on engaging in. And you're just talking high level. So you're filling in the monthly part, but then you're also thinking about each one of the weeks and what are the priorities going to be for each one of the weeks. And then the other part is establishing your top goals. So your top goals for first quarter and also your top goals for January. Looking at what your income producing goals are going to be. So maybe one of your top goals in January is to order all your inventory for fourth quarter. So if you're in a specific niche, maybe you're ordering all of your pet inventory for second quarter. Or maybe you're ordering all your back to school inventory. Like, yeah, back to school is a thing. I start ordering back to school inventory at the beginning of second quarter. Why? Because kids get out of school, depending on where you are in the US, they get out of school in May. And then some school districts, they go back to school in July. So, yeah. So I got to start ordering that inventory. And I'm thinking about it while the kids are still in school. I know it's a weird thing to do. But the point is, again, what are your top monthly goals? What are your income producing goals, your admin VA goals, your ads, traffic, and marketing goals? What are your goals for the first quarter? For first quarter and for January. Once you have done all of that, any other remaining holidays that you were able to identify or find that you feel like are going to be important when you're putting together your monthly plan, write those on line 1. So lines 2 and 3, 4, 5. I think there's 5 lines on each one of the months, maybe 6. So a lot of those lines 3 through 5, are definitely going to be time that things that you're going to be doing in your e-commerce business, but you're going to balance that out with, again, I put everything else in lines 1 and 2. And the reason I do that is because, again, at the end of the day, like, our e-commerce business is important, especially if this is your bread and butter. This is what keeps your lights on and keeps the water coming out of your faucet, keeps a roof over your head. Then yeah, it's extremely important. But at the end of the day, we know we're going to drop everything if something major comes up with our family and our friends. And sometimes, depending on some people, our pets. We will drop everything to go deal with that first. So they are a priority, and that's why they're on lines 1 and 2. So I hope this information is helpful. I hope that you pull out your annual planning to help decide what you're going to do in your first quarter and also what you're going to be doing in January. I hope that you will share this out with a friend. Let somebody else know about the daily ecom planning sessions. Again, my name is Nicole Whitlock, and this is one of the things that I like to do. I like to help people get organized, get focused, get consistent in their business. So if that's you, I invite you to schedule a free 20-minute coaching session, and you can do that by going to ecomsellers.com, clicking on free resources, and scheduling a free 20-minute coaching session with me so we can talk about what your plan is. If you still need to gain access to or review or download the annual planning session that we did, then you can go to swiy.co/2023 replay. 2023 replay. Again, swiy.co/2023 replay. So go and download the replay or request a replay and then download it so that you'll have the opportunity to do your annual planning session. Knock that out this week. Make that a priority so that you can go through and plan the rest of January or plan the rest of first quarter. So swiy.co/2023 replay. Go and grab the 2023 annual planning session. And afterwards, put together your monthly plan. It's not too late to put your monthly plan together in the second week of January. It's not. Just do it. Just do it. This is the just do it year. Just do it. And tune in tomorrow. We are going to have another session on our daily ecom planning session at 7 a.m. So come and check us out as we continue to talk about, whatever we're going to talk about. I don't know what our next series is that we're starting, but I did want to make sure we got knocked out the monthly planning and the quarterly planning. So go do your monthly and quarterly planning. It's at 7 a.m. We're going to be live on Clubhouse. We're going to be live in the e-commerce planning Facebook group. You are more than welcome to go grab the My Ecom Planner. It's the ultimate e-commerce planner. It was created for sellers by sellers. So you can go to myecomplanner.com right now to grab the ultimate e-commerce planner, myecomplanner.com. And you can join eCom Sellers eCom Sellers Academy, where you can get support. You get weekly RAOA leads list, arbitrage leads list. You get weekly wholesale list. You also gain access to our live weekly training sessions. So you can go to ecomsellersacademy.com right now to join. It's terribly affordable. It's $17.99 a month. Again, ecomsellersacademy.com at $17.99 a month. Join us and let's make it happen for you and your business. So with that, my name is Nicole Whitlock. My passion is helping people on their e-commerce journey. If that's you, I'm here for you. Tune in tomorrow as we have another session on the daily ecom planning session. And with that, my hope, my prayer, my wish for you is that you have an amazingly blessed, extremely productive, and highly profitable day. We're going to say goodbye for now. Bye, y'all.